Michael Saylor shared a very bullish prediction. He says Bitcoin will 425x from here, tapping into a $200 to $300 trillion Bitcoin market cap. Could you imagine that? And where do you feel that will send the Bitcoin price? Probably north of $100 million per coin. So let's break this baby down, shall we? And shout out to Mike Saylor. I transcribed one of his recent interviews and I shared it earlier on X. It already had over 33,000 views and continues climbing, already going viral. 443 hearts, 87 retweets. Here's what he said. Because Bitcoin is just pure money, it's just as effective as $100,000 a coin as it is $10,000 a coin. And at $1 million a coin, it's just as effective as at 10 million a coin. Is probably more compelling at 10 million a coin than 1 million or 100,000 a coin. It's kind of a universally scalable asset that gets less risky. The only thing that's going to change, in my opinion, is when it was super risky and scary below $10,000. You were getting 100 to 200% a year annualized gains. And then when it got a bit more understandable between $10,000 and $100,000, your gains go to 40 or 50% a year. And then at some point they go to 30% and then 20%. And in the extreme, if everybody in the world understood Bitcoin, it'd be 20, 30, 40% of the wealth in the world. Check this out, fam. So it would be $200 to $300 trillion in today's dollars. Send it. That would be Bitcoin tapping into 40% of the total addressable market, all of the wealth in the world. And then the price would be appreciating at the rate of global inflation and fiat currency. So if the gold inflation rate remains at 7, it would still remain at 7, and then it would appreciate a little bit more because of the productivity of the people that adopt it as a treasury reserve asset. So there you have it. How many of you agree with Mike Saylor that we could potentially see a $200 to $300 trillion Bitcoin market cap? Let me know. He also shared in an interview with Patrick Bet-David on his podcast, Bitcoin is on a path to be worth $100 million per coin, which means that the US dollar will have lost 99.9% of its value over 100 years. Warren Buffett knows this. Charlie Munger knows this. And of course, Charlie Munger recently passed last week at age 99, 1 month before turning 100 years old. This interview was also pretty lit and got a lot of love when I shared it. 132,000 views on X, 988 hearts, and 257 retweets. These are the most bullish price predictions I have ever personally covered or heard from Michael Saylor. Again, he's projecting the Bitcoin market cap hit 300 trillion and Bitcoin can be worth $100 million per coin, which would mean the US dollar losing 99.9% of all of its value. But wait, there is more. He also shared, first of all, is Bitcoin going up by a factor of 10? Whether they can fix any of this stuff is going to be a grind up by a factor of 10 just because gold is broken and Bitcoin is going to replace gold. And now everybody in the universe knows they need a non-sovereign store of value in the form of a bearer instrument. For the last year, people said inflation may be coming. We're not sure. Now the mainstream narrative has flipped. Inflation is here. You need an inflation hedge. So it's going to grind up to replace gold. It'll go to $500,000 per coin, regardless of whether they fix these things. Here are the 3 things that are massive catalysts that cause an acceleration. Those 3 things don't take us to 500,000 per Bitcoin. They take us to $5 million per coin. So here are the 3 things that will take Bitcoin to 5 million per coin, fam. Number 1, the spot Bitcoin ETF, where someone can go ahead and buy 100 million worth of Bitcoin via an ETF security. I think that's one. And we all know that ETF is likely to be approved in January, roughly 45 days out, fam. So you already know. Number 2, your bank is going to custody it for you and lend against it. One of the reasons you should never sell your Bitcoin, you can borrow against it. Why would you want to sell the apex predator for fiat crap? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? So just a matter of time. And number 3, I can mark it up or down on my balance sheet based on fair value. It'll be pari passu on the way I handle my Apple stock, or at least that good. If you have property with fair value accounting, by the way, it becomes pari passu to the way you handle treasury bonds on a treasury balance sheet. Treasuries are better than stocks because treasury is property, whereas a stock is a security, and you're capped out at 40% of your balance sheet of securities. So it would be a major breakthrough if you saw any of those three things. And we're going to get all three. Talk about the trifecta. Let's go. I'll end with this one observation I tweeted last week. I believe is very powerful. If the banks can hold the stuff on their balance sheet, then a whole new class of investors are going to buy it. People are going to put in $1 billion and multi-billion dollar orders to buy it as a treasury asset. Nobody is going to sell it because there is no reason to sell it if you can borrow against it. Do you hear that, fam? So you'll be borrowing against Bitcoin. Nobody is ever going to sell it. Only idiots. And at that point, I joke, you won't be able to afford it. You'll be able to afford it, but everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. Preach. And when the banks normalize it and you can draw a 100 million credit line at 100 basis points from an FDIC insured bank. Shout out Michael. I appreciate the super chat. 425X from Mike soon to be adopted. Send it. Let's get it. And at the point right now, we're going to blow through that market cap of gold by a factor of 10. Easy peasy. So he's ultimately projecting a 100 trillion market cap here, as the gold market cap's probably roughly 10 trillion. 10x of that would be 100 trillion, right? So I think the best thing is those three things are highly likely to happen. That's right. They're already happening. I don't know if they happen in 36 months or 24 months or in 12 months, but I'd be shocked if it's more than 36 months. And I hope it doesn't happen in 12 months because my view, the longer it takes, the more progressive the grind and the more time I have to buy more of it. Preach. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this sentiment that Bitcoin will likely hit 5 million just based off those three catalysts, which I just shared with you. But wait, there's more. Saylor expects Bitcoin demand to double after the halving and after the spot Bitcoin ETFs get approved, which we all know is coming down the pipeline. He shared in an interview the demand has got to at least double. So the only thing that's going to adjust there is the price in order to get to market. He also said there are three things that are massive catalysts for the acceleration, which I just read for you, which is not just going to take us to 500,000 a coin, but to 5 million a coin. And he also shared that a spot ETF where someone can go ahead and buy 100 million in Bitcoin to buy an ETF security and your bank allowing you to custody it, to lend against it so you can borrow some money. All those things are likely to come for Bitcoin. So there you have it, my crypto fam. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the Giga Chad.